The twin suns of Vesper 9 hung low in the copper sky, casting long, burning shadows over the rocky wastelands. The air was dry and sharp with metal dust, and every breath tasted like rust. Few came to this moon by choice. Fewer still survived for long. Cale Arden moved quickly across the jagged terrain, a worn scarf wrapped tight around his mouth. His boots crunched over cracked stone and scattered debris. In his hand, a battered scanner beeped faintly with each step. He was alone, as always, by design. Trust had long since become a luxury he couldn't afford. Cale was a scavenger, one of the many who picked over the bones of forgotten worlds, hunting lost tech and selling it to the highest bidder. He had grown up among smugglers and outlaws, lived through raids and betrayals, and buried more friends than he cared to remember. His heart was hard, his mind was sharp, and his past, better left unspoken. Today's job was routine, or it was supposed to be. He had heard rumors of buried pre-Empire tech in Sector 3C, deep in the dead zone beyond the old mining fields. Locals avoided the place, said the land was cursed. Cale didn't believe in curses, but he believed in paydays. He reached a jagged cliffside that rose like the cracked edge of a crater. His scanner chirped faster. Something was below. Cale dropped to one knee and brushed away loose dust and gravel. Beneath it was a strange black surface, smooth, cold, and seamless. Metal, but not like anything he had seen before. It wasn't rusted or corroded. It looked new. Heart quickening, he pulled a charge cutter from his pack and began slicing through the edges. A line of blue light flickered along the seam. The ground shook gently beneath him. A hiss of air escaped, then silence. A portion of the rock face shifted, sliding inward with a slow, mechanical groan. A hidden entrance. Cale stepped back, rifle raised. No movement, no alarms, just darkness yawning before him. He flicked on a wrist light and moved inside. The chamber was massive, hollowed out beneath the cliff, untouched for centuries. Dust floated in the stale air. Along the walls were strange markings, earth script, ancient and faded. He recognized some of the symbols, warnings, military seals, the kind you found on banned tech, forbidden tech. At the center of the chamber rested a ship. It was unlike any he'd ever seen, sleek, dark, angular, half the size of a corvette, but shaped like a blade ready to strike. No engines were visible, no windows. Its hull shimmered faintly, as if resisting the light. Cale approached slowly. The air was thick with static, and his wrist light flickered. He reached the base of the ship and saw a panel, covered in dust. As he brushed it clean, the surface lit up beneath his fingers. A circle of blue light blinked, scanned his hand, then his face. Then a voice, smooth, calm, female. Command signal accepted. User identified Cale Arden. Authorization level, Earth Protocol override. Activating prototype. Cale stepped back. What the hell? The ship came to life. Blue lines raced along its surface. The ground trembled. Machinery whirred beneath his feet. Lights overhead sparked, then steadied. The chamber lit up completely, revealing the full scale of the buried vessel. Then the voice spoke again, louder this time. Designation Oblivion. Earth Defense Prototype. Status, operational, awaiting command. Cale stood frozen. Oblivion. He had heard that name once, whispers in the dark corners of salvage markets. A ghost ship, built before the Empire, built for a war that never happened, built by Earth before it vanished. Cale swallowed hard. His heart pounded in his chest. This wasn't just old tech. This was a weapon, a relic, a secret powerful enough to draw every eye in the galaxy, and not the friendly kind. He looked around the chamber again, suddenly aware of what he had uncovered. The Empire had buried the past for a reason, and now it was waking up. Cale placed his hand back on the panel. Guess it's just you and me now. The ship hummed beneath his palm. Far across the stars, deep in the cold halls of the Imperial flagship Aegis Blade, Commander Lyrix Thane stood before a flickering screen. His hands were clasped behind his back, posture straight, armor polished to a mirror shine. His eyes, cold and calculating, studied the report that had just come in. An energy signature detected in the Orion sector, unique, ancient, and unmistakably Earth in origin. Run the signature again, Thane ordered. The technician at the console hesitated. Sir, we've confirmed it 3 times. It's real, it's the prototype. The room fell silent. For a long moment, Thane said nothing. Then he turned, slow and deliberate, and walked toward the central command table. Around him, officers whispered. He ignored them. Dispatch Recon Fleet 6. Full readiness. I want boots on Vesper 9 within 24 hours, he said, voice sharp. But sir, another officer began. Vesper 9 is a civilian zone, mining territory. There are no confirmed hostiles. Thane cut him off with a look. The signal is hostile enough. That prototype should never have been found. If it falls into the wrong hands, the Empire's grip will fracture. We cannot allow that. He turned away, hands tightening behind his back. Burn it, wipe the moon clean if you must. But bring me the one who activated it. Back on Vesper 9, Kale sat inside the cockpit of the awakened ship, Oblivion. The interior was unlike any spacecraft he had ever piloted. It was smooth and seamless, with no physical controls. Holograms hovered in the air around him, waiting for his touch. The AI voice guided him through each system, calm and patient, like a teacher with a nervous student. You are bonded to this vessel, the AI explained. Your biometric signature unlocked the primary systems. You may issue commands through voice or neural interface. Kale frowned. I never signed up for any of this. You did not need to, the voice replied. You were selected. He looked around. Screens displayed ancient Earth logs, classified documents, old blueprints, maps of long-abandoned sectors. One file caught his eye, a sealed folder titled Operation Final Flame. He reached toward it, but the AI blocked access. Classified. Access requires Earth Council clearance. Kale scoffed. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Earth's a myth now. Earth is not gone, the AI replied quietly. It is hidden. Kale sat back in the command chair, uneasy. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a hero. He was just a scavenger who had stumbled onto something massive, something dangerous. His thoughts were interrupted as the ship let out a low chime. Warning, the AI said. Long-range scans detect an incoming vessel. Imperial signature, Recon class. 1 occupant. Arrival in 60 seconds. Kale's eyes widened. They're already here. They tracked the activation signal, the AI replied. Standard protocol. Kale jumped up. Can we hide the ship again? Negative. Activation has made concealment impossible. Recommendation, defensive posture. Kale hesitated. Wait, what kind of defenses are we talking about? Without warning, the ground above the hidden chamber shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The entrance, still slightly open, let in a beam of harsh light. Then came the sound of engines descending. Kale scrambled to the viewing interface. A small Imperial recon ship was landing at the crater's edge. One soldier emerged, scanning the terrain, armed, armored, moving with purpose. Kale's voice trembled. I didn't mean to start a war. The AI responded without emotion. Engagement is imminent. Do you authorize activation of weapons? Kale looked down at the glowing panel. This wasn't just salvage anymore. This was history. This was power. If he fought, there would be no going back. The Empire would hunt him forever. But if he didn't, he thought of the outposts crushed by Imperial boots, of the rebels who vanished, of his parents killed in an accidental orbital strike years ago. He clenched his jaw. Authorize. Outside, the Imperial soldier approached the crater, unaware of the storm beneath his feet. A pulse of blue light burst from Oblivion's hull. A single shot. Clean, silent. The soldier was gone. No explosion, just a shimmer in the air and dust in the wind. Kale stared at the display in shock. 1 target neutralized, the AI reported. No life signs remain. Kale stumbled back into the seat, heart pounding. What the hell did I just do? You survived, the AI said simply. Kale didn't answer. He sat in silence as the ship's systems quietly resumed monitoring. Outside, the crater was still again. But far above, in the darkness of space, Imperial ships were already coming. The news spread fast. In the shadowed corners of spaceports, inside rebel hideouts, and across encrypted channels, whispers began to echo. An old Earth prototype has awakened. An Imperial scout ship was destroyed in one shot. The ghost of Earth walks again. Cale Arden didn't hear these rumors, not yet. He was too busy running. Oblivion tore through the sky of Vesper 9, rising above the mining fields with engines that made no sound and left no trail. Cale sat in the pilot's chair, eyes locked on the controls, his hands clenched. He hadn't slept in almost a day. His mind replayed the moment over and over, when the ship fired, when the Imperial soldier vanished. He hadn't wanted to kill anyone, he'd just wanted to survive. The AI's voice broke the silence. Orbital scans detect a widening communication net. Signal triangulation confirms Imperial reinforcements en route. Estimated arrival, 22 hours. Cale sighed. So we're out of time. We must relocate, the AI agreed. I have identified a nearby location suitable for temporary concealment. Where? Sector 4B. Rebel outpost. Hidden below a decommissioned ore rig, their leadership has access to communication channels outside Imperial control. There may be allies there. Cale raised an eyebrow. You want me to fly straight into a rebel base? You will not be welcomed as a threat. The ghost of Earth is a legend among them. You have already become a symbol. Cale leaned back, frowning. I'm not a symbol. I'm just a guy who found the wrong ship. The AI remained silent. He adjusted the heading. The stars shifted. Vesper 9 grew smaller in the distance, as Oblivion soared above the horizon, cloaked and undetected. The rebel base was hidden well, buried beneath tons of old metal and forgotten scrap, a nest of heat signatures and false signals meant to fool any scanner. Cale would have missed it if the ship hadn't guided him directly to the entrance. He landed on a rusted platform and stepped out, rifle slung across his back, helmet on. The ship stayed behind, invisible, watching. As he walked into the main tunnel, a dozen weapons aimed at him. "Don't move," a voice shouted. Cale froze. A tall woman stepped forward, lean, sharp-eyed, battle-worn. She wore rebel armor with a faded earth patch sewn into the shoulder. "You Cale Arden?" she asked. He hesitated. "Depends who's asking. Name's Lyra, commander of this cell." She studied him. "We intercepted the orbital transmission. Imperial scout down. Earth tech signature confirmed. That was you, wasn't it?" Cale didn't answer. "I want to see the ship," she said. "No." The rebels behind her stirred. Cale raised a hand. "You don't want to mess with it. You can't control it. It chose me." Lyra narrowed her eyes. "Then tell me what you plan to do with it." Cale looked past her, at the others. Tired faces, hardened eyes, people who'd been running their whole lives, just like him. "I don't know," he said finally. "I didn't plan any of this. But the Empire's coming, and if we don't stop them, we'll all burn." Lyra studied him a moment longer. Then she lowered her weapon. "Come inside," she said. "We need to talk." Inside the command room, Cale explained everything, how he found Oblivion, what it could do, what the AI had shown him. When he finished, the room was quiet. Then an older man at the corner of the table spoke. "The ghost of Earth. I always thought it was just a myth. A ship built by Earth to end the war before it even started. But the Council buried it, said it was too dangerous." Lyra nodded. "And now it's awake. That means Earth isn't dead, just hidden. And the Empire's worst fear has come true." Cale leaned forward. "What fear?" "That people remember." Outside, the wind howled across the rig. Dust swirled through broken vents. Cale stood up. "I didn't come here to start a rebellion. I just wanted a place to hide." Lyra stepped closer. "There's no hiding now, Cale. The moment that ship fired, the whole galaxy changed. The Empire's going to throw everything they have at you. You can run, or you can fight." Cale looked down at his hands. He thought of the scout, the destruction, the voice of the AI calling him authorized, the weight of something much bigger than him, pressing down on his shoulders. "I'm no leader," he said softly. "Maybe not," Lyra replied. "But you're the spark. That ship was Earth's last weapon, and it chose you. Kale didn't respond, but deep down something shifted. For the first time in years, he didn't feel like he was drifting. He felt anchored, not safe, not free, but on a path that mattered. He turned toward the exit. I need to get back to the ship. Why? Lyra asked. Because the Empire's not sending scouts anymore, he said. They're sending a fleet. The next morning came with no sunrise. Vesper 9 didn't have days and nights, only shifts of shadow under its dim twin suns. But Kale felt the weight of the hours. He hadn't slept again. He couldn't. His mind was locked in the same cycle, what he had done, what he had found, and what was coming. He stood at the edge of the rebel base, watching the sky, silent. Behind him, Lyra approached. They'll be here soon, she said. Kale didn't look at her. How many? Latest scan says a fleet. 5 destroyers. A command ship. At least 3 fighter wings. She paused. All for you. He nodded slowly. Then it's time. He turned and walked away, leaving her in silence. Oblivion sat hidden in the crater, outside the rebel base, cloaked and still. It looked like a shadow frozen in space, waiting to move. As Kale approached, the hull shimmered and opened. He stepped inside without a word. Welcome back, Kale Arden, the AI said. He slid into the pilot's seat. We're not hiding anymore. Confirmed. Activating all systems. The cockpit lit up with holographic controls. Blue lights danced across the panels. The AI began calculating attack patterns, shield sequences, energy levels, and evasive flight paths. Do we have a chance? Kale asked, with precision and timing. Yes. Alone? No. Coordinated strike with rebels increases survival probability to 42%. Then we fight smart, he said. In orbit above Vesper 9, the Empire's ships arrived in perfect formation. Clean, brutal lines. Grey steel cutting through the dark. At the center, the flagship Aegis blade gleamed under the light of the twin suns. Commander Thane stood at the command window, hands clasped behind him, eyes locked on the moon below. Deploy fighters. Begin sweep, he ordered. Find the prototype. Destroy everything in your path. Yes, sir. Kale's voice came through the rebel comms, firm and calm. This is Kale Arden. You've heard the stories. The ghost of Earth is real, and today, we fight back. Across the rebel base, fighters powered on. Old ships, battered and patched together, roared to life. They weren't strong, they weren't fast, but they had heart and hope. The rebel fleet rose from the surface. Oblivion followed. Its cloak dropped. For the first time the Empire saw it. A single sleek ship, glowing with earth-blue energy. No visible weapons, no escort. A ghost. The battle began with speed and fire. Imperial fighters rushed forward. The rebels scattered and fought with hit-and-run tactics. It was chaos. Explosions lit the sky. Then Oblivion moved. Fast, silent, deadly. Its weapons didn't fire like normal guns. Instead, it released silent pulses, precision bursts of energy that cut through metal like paper. One by one, fighters vanished without warning. Kale flew with focus, his hands moving instinctively. The AI guided him, adjusting shields, timing evasions to the millisecond. Left wing approaching. 17 ships, the AI said. Line them up. Kale dived low, drew the fighters in, then pulled up sharply. As they followed, Oblivion released a drone pod. Small needle-shaped machines burst out in a silent arc. In seconds, the Imperial fighters were shredded mid-flight. No smoke, no flame, just silence and falling debris. On the Aegis blade, Thane stared at the monitors. What kind of weapon is that? One officer asked. Thane's jaw tightened. Not a weapon, a warning. He turned. Bring me a direct line to that ship. A moment later, Kale's voice echoed through the bridge. You're trespassing on the grave of Earth's secrets. Kale said. This is Imperial space. Thane replied coldly. And you are using stolen technology. This isn't your galaxy anymore. Kale said. Time to let go. Thane smiled, a bitter, humorless smile. Then die with your myth. He gave the order. All ships focus fire on the prototype. Kale saw the readings spike. Missiles, lasers, energy blasts, all aimed at him. The AI acted fast, activating Phase 3 shield sequence. A dome of blue light surrounded Oblivion. Missiles slammed into it and dissolved. Beams struck and scattered. Kale pushed the ship higher, into the heart of the fleet. He released another wave of drones. They spun through the enemy ships like stars of death. One destroyer exploded in silence, its engines rupturing. Another lost its main cannon. Now, Kale shouted. The rebels, inspired, surged forward. A swarm of old beaten ships charged into the Imperial formation. Outnumbered, outgunned, but not afraid. They had hope now, and oblivion at their side. After 20 minutes of brutal fighting, the tide turned. 3 Imperial destroyers were gone. The rest pulled back. The command ship drifted, its engines damaged. Kale turned his ship toward it. "Do we finish this?" the AI asked. Kale hesitated. "No, let them retreat. Let them report what they saw." "Understood." He opened a comm to the fleet. "The Empire came to erase us, but we are still here. Earth may be forgotten, but its fire still burns, and now so do we." In the silence that followed, the stars watched. Vesper 9 turned slowly beneath them, and in the wreckage of war, a legend had been born. The sky above Vesper 9 had not yet cleared. Smoke from falling wreckage drifted through the upper atmosphere. Scorched metal rained down like ash, scattering across the barren plains. The ground trembled every few minutes with the soft, distant hum of collapsing starships. The battlefield was quiet now, but only for the moment. Kale Arden stood at the center of Oblivion's bridge, eyes locked on the glowing display in front of him. The AI's voice spoke with its usual calm tone. "Enemy reinforcements detected. 2 additional fleets entering system range. Total of 8 destroyers and 1 carrier-class warship. Arrival in 40 minutes. Kale clenched his fists. "They're not giving up." "No," the AI replied. "They have accepted that conventional tactics will not defeat this vessel. Their strategy has shifted. Now they will destroy everything." Kale turned and looked at the planet below. Vesper 9 scattered outposts, the struggling rebel base, and the hidden refugee camps that had grown in secret. "They'll burn the whole moon," he said softly. "Yes," the AI confirmed, "unless we stop them." At the rebel command center, Lyra paced between the worn consoles. Her people were tired, some wounded, some mourning those lost in the first battle, but none had fled. Word of Kale's fight had spread quickly. Pilots, tech crews, even civilians volunteered to stay and help. She looked at the feed from Oblivion, Kale standing alone at the ship's controls. "Patch me through," she told the comms officer. Kale's voice crackled through the speaker. "We just got the update," Lyra said. "Another fleet. Big one." "Yeah," Kale replied. "They're coming to end it this time. You're not alone." "I know," Kale said. "But I need you to hold the ground. If they land troops, this place is done." "We'll hold," Lyra said, without hesitation. "Just make sure they don't get the chance." Kale nodded. "Thanks, Lyra, for believing." "Don't thank me yet," she said. "Just win." The second wave of Imperial ships entered orbit like a shadow falling across the stars. They came with silence, discipline, and precision. The lead vessel, a massive carrier-class ship named Judicator, opened its bay doors and began deploying atmospheric bombs. Their goal wasn't to capture, it was to erase. Kale launched Oblivion before the first bomb dropped. He cut through the enemy formation like a blade through cloth. The ship responded to him instantly, each movement fluid and exact. Energy shields flared and shimmered, deflecting incoming fire. The AI tracked every target. "Recommend neutralization of carrier bomb bays." Kale growled, "Do it." From Oblivion's hull, the Phase 3 cannons emerged, weapons hidden until now. They charged with a deep hum, then fired concentrated beams of light that struck the carrier in 3 precise points. The carrier groaned, metal ruptured. The bomb bay exploded from within, scattering debris like shrapnel through the nearby ships. "One down," Kale said, turning hard into the next formation. The Empire responded with fury. Fighters swarmed from all sides. Destroyers coordinated their fire, sending waves of plasma across Oblivion's path. But Kale stayed ahead of it all. The AI kept the ship moving in impossible angles. Drones were launched again. They danced through enemy ranks, tearing apart the fleet with terrifying efficiency. Below, on the surface, the rebels held their lines. Lyra led the charge, firing from behind makeshift barricades. Artillery cannons, barely functional and decades old, roared back at incoming dropships. Small scout fighters shot down enemy transports before they could land, but it wasn't enough. A drop pod broke through and crashed just outside the rebel walls. Imperial soldiers poured out, cold, armored, relentless. The fighting turned brutal, hand to hand, chaos, and then the sky turned blue. A beam of light shot down from orbit. The ground trembled. The Imperial squad vanished in a silent flash. Lyra looked up. Oblivion hovered above them, engines humming. Its underbelly cannon glowed faintly. "Nice timing," she muttered. High above, only 2 Imperial ships remained. The Judicator had been torn apart. The remaining destroyers tried to retreat, but Kale didn't let them. "End this," he told the AI. "Yes, Commander." Oblivion surged forward, engines firing without flame. The final destroyer attempted to flee, but Kale fired twin pulses that shattered its core. The last ship turned to surrender. Kale let it go. "They'll carry the message," he said. "Let the rest of the Empire know." Later, after the smoke faded and the wreckage fell quiet, Kale landed Oblivion near the rebel base. He stepped out slowly, boots crunching on broken stone. Lyra approached, her face dirty, her arm in a sling. "You did it," she said. Kale looked around. Rebels tending to the wounded, refugees helping rebuild tents. The sky finally still. "No," he said. "We all did." She nodded. "So what now?" Kale looked to the stars. "I think it's time I go find Earth." Lyra stared at him. "You think it's still out there?" Kale gave a small smile. "I know it is." She stepped back and saluted him. "You're more than a myth now, Kale Arden. You're a symbol." He looked at her, tired but steady. "Then let's make sure they never forget it." He turned, boarded Oblivion, and the ship rose into the sky once more. As it vanished into the stars, every rebel and refugee who saw it understood something had changed. The Empire wasn't invincible anymore, and the fire from Earth's forgotten past had just reignited. The stars stretched endlessly in all directions, cold and quiet, beyond the edge of Imperial space where maps faded into uncertainty. Oblivion moved through the void like a silent arrow. Kale sat in the command seat, eyes fixed on the display. His face was calm, but his mind was racing. He had survived 2 battles, defeated fleets, inspired a rebellion, but none of it felt finished. "Course plotted," the AI said. "Destination, Earth coordinates. Last recorded in secure Earth Council archives." Kale leaned forward. "We're sure this is real?" "Yes," the AI replied. "The Council hid Earth. They buried its location to protect it from the Empire. I now possess full access to its coordinates." Final clearance was granted after confirmation of combat integrity. Kale raised an eyebrow. "So I had to prove myself first." "Yes," the AI answered. "The prototype was never meant to be used lightly, only in the hands of someone willing to defend, not dominate." Kale stared at the stars. "And what do we find when we get there?" "That," the AI said softly, "is unknown." As Oblivion entered uncharted space, the ship's hull shimmered against the dark. It passed through a thick belt of asteroids, avoided collapsed jump lanes, and passed ancient satellites long dead. Debris from old wars floated like ghosts in the dark. Kale moved through the ship's inner corridors. They were clean, silent, and oddly peaceful now. He stopped at a narrow chamber, one he hadn't entered before. Inside, holographic images flickered to life. They showed Earth, not a myth, not a battlefield, but a blue and green planet full of life. Oceans shimmered. Forests stretched wide. Cities stood tall, hidden beneath domes and camouflage shielding. Kale stood silently, watching. A lump rose in his throat. "It's beautiful," he whispered. "Earth has remained untouched since the collapse," the AI said. "It has been waiting. For what? For someone to return." Back in the pilot's seat, Kale watched as the stars shifted. A small dot appeared on the horizon. At first, it was just a shimmer, then a faint glow. Then, Earth. He rose from his seat as the ship slowed. Floating in space, hidden behind layers of shielding and cloaking tech, was the birthplace of humanity. Blue oceans swirled below white clouds. Continents stretched like sleeping giants. It was still alive. Kale stared in awe. He had never truly believed it existed. Not really, not like this. "We're here," he said, almost afraid to breathe. A voice crackled to life. Not the AI, but something older, deeper. "Identify yourself." Kale straightened. "Kale Arden. I found the prototype. I brought it home." A pause, then "You are authorized. Earth welcomes you." The shields peeled back slowly, revealing a hidden orbital station. Lights blinked, docking ports opened. Oblivion guided itself in silently. Kale stepped out onto the station platform, and for the first time he saw people, real people, walking out to greet him. Scientists, soldiers, civilians. They looked surprised, wary, but hopeful. One of them stepped forward, a woman with silver hair and a white Earth emblem on her chest. "You brought it back," she said quietly. "After all these years." Kale nodded. "And the Empire knows it exists now." She looked serious. "Then war is coming." He met her eyes. "Then let's get ready." In the days that followed, Earth's defenses came online. Satellites activated. Hidden fleets stirred in deep orbit. Word spread across the galaxy. Rebel systems sent messages of support. Old Earth loyalists, long hiding in silence, began to speak. Colonies whispered of a new alliance, one built not on fear, but memory. Kale stood at the heart of it. He didn't want power, he didn't want fame, but he had become something else, something the galaxy hadn't seen in generations. A symbol of forgotten strength. Months later, far from Earth, the remnants of the Empire gathered. Commander Thane stood in a shadowed hall, watching news feeds of uprisings, defections, rebellions. Earth was a lie, one general insisted. "No," Kale Thane said softly. It was a warning. Back on Earth, Kale stood beneath a clear sky. Real sky. The breeze was soft. The air smelled like rain. He had never known a world like this. Not in his entire life. He closed his eyes and let it sink in. After all the loss, after all the battles, he was home. The galaxy was changing, and the flame of Earth had been reignited.